Hi, friends. I am so excited to be here with you today and intro you to my new project, which is this podcast called Tough Friends Collective. And I named it that because I want this podcast to truly be a collective of all of our stories within the cancer community, highlighting, different perspectives, stories, and hopefully having some cool guests that can give us some, insights into different things we might be curious about. And yeah, so I'm really excited. So let me just intro myself in case you're new to me. I am a 2-time survivor of Hodgkin's lymphoma. My name is Chelsea Gomez, and I am pretty much more known as Oh You're So Tough online. That is my artist name, and I have been sharing online for like the past 3 or 4 years, not only my experiences with cancer, but other people's. And I do that on my Instagram page. I have a twice weekly art series called WTF Wednesday and Salty Sunday, where people write in about their experiences going through cancer, things that people have said to them, etc. And I draw my artistic interpretation of it. This was inspired by Post Secret, if you remember that. They're still around, so yes, check them out. I will always give props to Post Secret. So basically, I do it a little different. I take the submissions in digitally and I draw everything, but it's still kind of the same concept, a safe place to, just talk about these things. So I thought that this podcast, and this will be posted as a video on my YouTube if you would like to watch me talk, or we'll have it on all the podcasting platforms. But my vision is really to have more in-depth conversations about, different submissions, and then have, like I said, cool guests that come on and give us their insights, and really just be a place where we can talk openly and authentically about cancer, especially, cancer as a young adult, because that is where my experience lies. So give me some grace going into this podcast. It's my first one ever, and I hope that you like it. I figured this first episode, we will do like a Salty Sunday and WTF Wednesday commentary or wrap up for the week. I hope to be able to do like a once weekly podcast episode centered strictly on those submissions, not all of them, but just talk about some of them, and then other episodes as I see fit, like on different topics or if we have guests. So yeah, that's my vision. So let's get into, today is Saturday. I'm recording this on Saturday. And so we are looking at submissions from the 17th of August until, well, maybe we shouldn't. Yeah, no, that's right. 17th of August, chemo brain, up until the 21st, which is a Wednesday. So that Sunday and that Wednesday. And we'll be talking about some of those submissions. Now, before we get into the submissions, if you're not familiar with these stories, some of them can be tough to hear. The thing is, they are lived experiences. So yes, while they might be difficult to hear at times or, shocking sometimes even, take care of your mental health first. But I just want to give that disclaimer, like, hey, these aren't like normally warm and fuzzy stories. We do have some of those dispersed in here and there. But so let's get into it. Okay, so the first one I really wanted to talk about that was quite surprising to me, but really not, because I've heard these stories so long. But just, it won't be surprising when you hear it if you are a cancer person. But if you're not, then it might be quite eye-opening that these are the types of things that are said to people with cancer. So let me read the submission. It says, "I'll never forget the time my auntie didn't want me coming over to their house or seeing them because she was worried if her kid would be scared of my bald head. It's been almost 2 years and I still want nothing to do with her." I wish that this wasn't something that is common, but it is. I mean, a lot of people are told, even by their like parents or family members, like this, an aunt, like, yeah, well, we don't want to see the realities of cancer, whether it be physical or, mental health. A lot of times they don't want to hear what we have to say. But I just thought that was so upsetting. Like, hey, don't come over to our house and show your head because the kids will be scared of it. Like, that is not the truth. And having a young daughter, when I was first diagnosed, she was almost 3, and she's going on 9 now, wow. I know for a fact that if you just talk to kids and explain to them the situation, and you can do it in a kid-friendly way. I have books that I've written about cancer, about chemotherapy for children because of this reason, because we need an easy way. Maybe not easy. It's never easy to have these conversations, but we need a more gentle way to talk to kids about these topics. And there are other books out there too. I'm not plugging. I mean, yeah, please go buy my books, but not really. This is just to talk about why I made those books. But it's for scenarios just like this, because kids, like I said, are very resilient, and they react like, oh, oh, that's why. Okay, now let's go play Barbies. Like, it's not, oh my God, I'm scared of you because you have no hair. Like, there are people out in public that have no hair for many different reasons. And I don't see any children running away from them like they're Godzilla. Like, that is just so ridiculous. So I want to read some of the comments that were left about this submission in particular, because I thought they were quite interesting. So one person said, my sister-in-law was worried my bald head may upset her son. My husband has been bald since his 20s. So that's another thing. Like, there are plenty of people, like I said, that are just bald out in public because they've gone bald, they choose to be bald, they're going through something. And once again, like, the kids are not staring at them, being scared. Like, I can see a child having never seen you like that. If it's like a family member, it might be very stark, maybe shocking even, but you can have these conversations with kids. In my opinion, it seems like this person was really hiding behind the family member, and it was like really their uncomfortability. That's a hard word. Uncomfortability with cancer, or the physical aspect of cancer, that they chose to use the kids as a way to kind of justify their actions. This is another comment that I thought really supported that sort of theory. So this person said, my brother said something similar to me when I was seeing my niece for the first time post-treatment. He asked me to put on a hat. Well, the hot flashes I had later forced me to take it off, and it didn't matter to her. Maybe it was more about him. And that's exactly what I just said. I think that it's more about the adults having problems or difficulties really facing what's going on with us. I think that happens a lot of times when we have family members or friends who ghost us. And if you can't see me because you're listening, I did air quotes friends, because I don't know, like, I know there's like a lot of different reasons why people ghost you when you're sick, but a lot of times their reasons don't excuse their actions, I guess I'll say. Another comment I just wanted to end this submission on is the aunt protecting her kids from the bald-headed relative. The kids in my life, nieces and nephews, thought my bald head was so cute and loved petting it. That aunt is awful for trying to use her kids to cover for her own discomfort, in my opinion. And yeah, in my opinion, I feel like that is what's happening too. And I know just from being a parent that, like, of course your kid is going to be, or your relative child, or even a friend's child, might be shocked or not used to seeing somebody like that, but it doesn't mean that you can't have a gentle conversation with them that says, like, hey, that's still the same person, they just don't have hair. Like, your hair, it's not just hair like people say out there in the world, but it is just hair when it comes to kids. Like, they're not going to suddenly think that you are a scary monster because you have no hair. So anyway, let's move on to the next submission I want to go over today. So this one is, if you're coming from my page, you know that we like to cope with dark humor. So this one says, currently going through chemo, and I was on the phone with my friend and I made a dark humor joke about my cancer. Immediately after that, my friends said they had to go, and when I asked why, they said it was because my joke brought the mood down. Like, sorry that Mike having cancer is such a bummer for you, and that I use humor to cope with the fact that I could literally die. I'll try to be more cheerful about it next time. Yeah, I have seen a lot of times when people who are outside of this community, or maybe you're just like outside of having any like trauma in your life, which great, but a lot of people don't get it. Like, coping with dark humor, they think that it's inappropriate or you're making light of something that's serious. And that isn't the case at all. We have a lot of serious conversations about cancer on my page especially, but we have to balance that with levity. I mean, you can't sit there and just constantly be sad or crying or upset. I mean, you can, but what's the point of that? Like, there's a time and a place for every sort of emotion, especially when it comes to cancer. You really can't tell someone how they should feel about cancer. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. And cancer comes with so many different emotions that it's just so multifaceted. So if a person who is going through something like cancer, doesn't even have to be cancer, it can be like a loss or whatever, and their type of coping is to use humor, whether it's the type of humor you like or not, that is their choice. And by telling them that the way that they choose to cope with this major life change or event is wrong, that doesn't really leave space for that person to feel like they can trust you, to feel like they have a safe space to talk. Like, I know when I was going through treatment, I had a lot of people who were messaging me or asking me for updates. And at one point there was even like a Facebook group that was really made with the best intentions, I will say that, to kind of update people. People wanted to know. And so, you know, my friend made one. And I just felt like every time I went to update people, if it wasn't something positive, it just wasn't did never go over well. Like, I don't know. I just felt like it had to be like a heartwarming story for the 5 o'clock news, not like the sad stories of the 5 o'clock news. Like, yeah, I wasn't always sad or always feeling down when I was going through treatment, but there were some times when I really just wanted somebody to listen about how I truly felt, like, you know, being left behind in life, or my hair falling out, or just feeling just how you feel when you go through something like that. And I just felt like I could never be authentic. I had to always have a great update or a positive update or a positive spin on things. And when my cancer came back, I was just like, no, we're not doing that anymore. So if you are somebody who's supporting a person going through a hard time, even if you don't necessarily love the way they cope with something, as long as it's a healthy way of coping, obviously, if it's a unhealthy way of coping, then obviously if you love that person, that's another conversation. But simply being upset because somebody chooses to joke about their situation and making that known to them, no. That's another thing too. If you have an issue or a problem or something with the person going through cancer and you're like in their circle, complain out of the circle. Like, complain to a neighbor, a coworker, a friend. Like, don't go to the person going through the hard time and make them feel even worse. Because I guarantee you, as you can see with this person writing in, like, I think this person has a good sense of humor, clearly, and hopefully they're okay and they're moving on past this incident, but still, like, it bothered them enough to write in about it. And so that does speak volumes to me. Okay, so I am going to move on to Wednesday submissions, and let's talk about a couple of those. Okay, so this next submission reads, my leukemia came back and I'm just angry. I was in remission for 6 months. My body couldn't have stuck it out another 3 to 4 months more for my bone marrow transplant. Now I'm in the hospital for a whole month again, and I'm miserable. I'm feeling so defeated. This submission in particular resonates with me because I had my cancer come back relatively quickly after finishing treatment the first time. And honestly, when I first ended treatment, I was like, we're just going to pretend like this never happened. So I went back to work like 6 weeks after. I was just like, yeah, we're just cancer. Who's she? And that didn't obviously work well. So this resonated with me in the fact that, like, I was really angry. I was really sad. But I was more angry, like, especially I had Hodgkin's, and everyone likes to say it's the good cancer, which I will tell you right now, no cancer is good. But it has relatively good, like, remission rates or whatever. It has good treatments. And the doctor was so nonchalant with me when I was first diagnosed. Like, he called it the good cancer, which that was a to him. But I mean, when it wasn't good, which mine was never good, it always had issues and it came back, like I felt how angry, just like, why me? Why is it me that it's coming back? Like, why am I having to go through this again? I just got my life back. Like, my hair started growing back and I was going to lose it again. And I was even more upset about losing my hair. Like, I was like, I just grew this hair. What the heck? And it was really upsetting. So the pain and the anger that this person feels, I understand that firsthand. And to this person, I just want to say that your feelings are completely valid. It's not a weight. Nothing I can say or do is going to make it better. It's one step at a time, getting through the utter shit that is coming with the transplant and all of that. But, you know, I don't know. I just want you to know that, like, it can get better. I'm not going to guarantee you, like, everything's going to be better, because, you know, that isn't something we get to guarantee in this cancer world. But what I can guarantee is that you are seen, and I understand a lot about how you're feeling right now, and you're not alone. Okay, we're going to do one more submission on the heavier side, or the normal Wednesday and Salty Sunday vibes. And then we'll go into one I added in, I think it was Wednesday's submissions. That was really fun and inspiring to me. So let's get into the last more normal submission. So this one says, I saw a new dentist and somehow my cancer, leukemia, and lymphoma came up. She said, oh, your poor mother. As bad as you had it, your mother had 100 times worse. No, I'm sorry. The one with the cancer always has it the worst. Before I give my opinion on this, I want to go to the comments, and I think I saw a comment about this situation and some thoughts. So let me go there. So this one says, a big hug to everyone. Somebody asked me almost weekly, how is your mother doing, while I was having chemo? Because a mother should never have to witness her child being that ill. How do people think you feel when you're actually the one being ill? And then this person replied to them and said, my mother-in-law had to be consoled by me when I was diagnosed for the second time, and she said she was the one hurting the most when my husband was diagnosed. That time, I sat her down and told her, you are not feeling the pain from the treatment, so he wins. Who's suffering the most any day? Some folks never learn. Okay, so I have two perspectives on this. One being the daughter who had gone through chemo, and obviously my mom had a really hard time with everything. I mean, my perspectives come from being the daughter and then also being a mom. And then I've met a lot of parents who are parents of young adult cancer folks, and I've seen the pain from the parents, and I understand the pain, and I've seen it firsthand with my mom. I think where this person is mainly coming from, I mean, I am not speaking for them directly, but I just think that you feel really guilty when you get sick, even though it's not your fault. You didn't cause it. You didn't ask for it. The utter like pain and devastation and sadness that can come with this type of diagnosis, not only for yourself, but for your family members, it can carry a lot of shame, guilt for the patient. I mean, I'm not going to go into exactly all the terrible breakdowns I've had going through cancer, but there have been a lot that have been associated with guilt surrounding my family and like putting them through things. And yes, I logically know it's not my fault, but it doesn't stop you from feeling the way that you feel. So we're already carrying around a lot of guilt about, you know, our illness and how it's affecting others in our life. And so for somebody to say that to us directly, I think it really triggers that like defense mechanism, especially to be like, what about me? Like, I'm literally the one going through the treatments. I'm the one having like chemo injected or radiation or surgery or whatever it may be. Like, my mom's just watching me, and I can see both perspectives. Like, I totally do. And being a mom myself, I can't even start to like think about how I would feel no matter how old my daughter is if she was ill like that. So I absolutely see both perspectives. I see the pain that the family members can have, and then I see the guilt and the shame that the patient feels or the survivor feels. And I think that both of those things are valid, but I think for somebody to point that out, like, oh, your mom's going through worse, I don't think that it's a competition, and like we're gonna be sitting here being like, who's suffering the worst? Is it you or your mom? Like, that's just not necessary. everybody is going through something that is dealing with this, and it affects everyone differently. So, yeah. Okay, so I want to read the last submission to leave everything on a fun and inspiring note. I don't know that we'll do that every time because that's just not the reality, but I wanted to share this one because I thought it was so cute and amazing. So this was a submission. It says, "Today I purchased a go-kart. My stage 4 may one day beat me, but not without a fight. My zero experience of driving, but hitting curbs in my car at the never too old age of 30. I'm joining my husband on the track and learning a new sport to leave behind a kick-ass legacy. F you, cancer. Sincerely not the next world champion F1 driver." I thought that was really cool. I think that really encapsulates a lot of what I always tell people. It's like, your dreams aren't over. Cancer takes a lot, and it can really delay your life and, redirect everything. But like, you can always keep dreaming and keep just hoping. Like, this person just going out and getting a go-kart with their stage 4 cancer, like being a total just badass and like, hey, guess what? I want to do this, so I'm going to do it. I think that is awesome and inspiring. And I just wanted to read a couple of the comments people said about this person because I thought it was really fun. So this person said, "The one with the go-kart. What an inspiration. We should never wait to enjoy life." And that is so true. This one said, "Every stage 4 cancer patient should get a go-kart. Drive cancer into the curb, into the ground." And they have a whole bunch of emojis, like the little car emojis. And yeah, exactly. You don't need to forget that you're still alive, especially as you're going through something like this. It can be easy to feel like you're in another dimension kind of when you're going through cancer. Like, I've always said that, like, it just feels like you're in another world. People are just walking around and living their life while you're over there in a whole different reality. And so I think that having these little joys or taking these little moments on the days that you feel well enough to do so are really important and are the things that will get you to the next day when you're having a hard day. It's like focusing on things like that. Like for me, it was doing art. I wasn't an artist before. Like, I was creative, but I didn't have an art career. I was far from that. I was working in insurance. And after I finished my stem cell transplant, I was just like, you know what? I don't want to go back to that place again. And yes, I know the privilege I have to have been able to leave and pursue something else. Like, thank God for my husband. But you have to change your whole life. It just means that you can follow some of your passions and your dreams no matter what. So thank you so much for listening. This is the first ever episode of the Tough Friends Collective podcast with me, Oh You're So Tough, Chelsea Gomez. I hope that you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave your comments, rate the show. If you want to give it a nice comment, I would greatly appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed hearing some of these stories out loud and talking through them. I definitely am excited to bring on different guests and things and talk about different topics, and let me know what you're wanting to hear. If you have a certain topic you want covered or a certain question you have, you know where to find me. If you don't, it's Oh You're So Tough literally everywhere. I'm most active on Instagram, so if you want to find me and DM me there, your ideas, your comments, your whatever, I'm wanting to hear them. So I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.